Have you ever found yourself stuck in a cycle of procrastination, wondering why you can't seem to get started? Maybe you've made lists, set goals, or even promised yourself that this time will be different, but no matter what, you still can't find the drive to take action. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Let's be real for a moment. Motivation is a tricky thing. We often think that motivation is something we need to wait for or something we have to feel before we can act. But what if I told you that you don't have to wait for motivation to show up in order to take action? What if motivation isn't the key at all? What if the key is taking action regardless of how you feel? This is the simple yet life-changing truth that I want to talk to you about today. It's not about waiting for some magical burst of motivation to suddenly inspire you. Instead, it's about learning how to create motivation through action. Yes, you heard that right. Action comes first. When you take action, motivation follows. I know this goes against what many of us have been taught, but I'm here to tell you that this is the approach that will actually work. Now, I understand that taking action isn't always easy. Sometimes it feels impossible to get moving, especially when you're overwhelmed by fear, self-doubt, or uncertainty. The trick is to short-circuit those feelings. You need to push past that feeling of being stuck and take the first step, no matter how small. Because when you do, you break the inertia that's holding you back. And here's the most important part: once you take that first step, even if it's a tiny one, the momentum you create will start to build. You'll feel more confident. You'll start to see progress. And when you see progress, motivation will follow. It's like a snowball effect. You just have to get the ball rolling. But I want to be clear. This doesn't mean you have to feel 100% ready before you act. In fact, if you're waiting to feel ready, you'll never start. You don't need perfection to take action. You don't need to have everything figured out. The only thing you need is the courage to act. One of the most powerful tools I've learned in my journey is the 5-second rule. It's incredibly simple. When you have an impulse to act on something, whether it's sending an email, making that phone call, or taking a step toward your goal, count down from 5 to 1, and then just do it. Here's why this works. Your brain is hardwired to resist change, to keep you comfortable, to keep you safe. It loves to talk you out of doing things that push you outside your comfort zone. The 5-second rule is a technique to silence that voice. When you count down, you're interrupting that negative thinking pattern and forcing your brain to focus on the countdown. By the time you reach 1, your body will already be in motion, and that's when you start taking action. The beauty of this technique is that it works for everything. Whether you're struggling with fear, doubt, or just plain procrastination, the 5-second rule gets you out of your head and into action. It's a simple mental hack that creates a shift in your mindset, and that shift can make all the difference in the world. Another thing to remember when you're trying to self-motivate is the importance of small wins. Too often, we set ourselves up for failure by focusing on huge, daunting goals. When we only focus on the big picture, it can feel impossible to know where to start, and we end up doing nothing at all. Instead of overwhelming yourself with everything you think you should accomplish, break it down into small, manageable tasks. Focus on one step at a time. Think about how you can improve just 1% today. Maybe it's writing one paragraph of that report, making one phone call, or taking just 5 minutes to organize your space. The idea isn't to finish everything in one day, it's to get started. When you achieve small wins, you not only build momentum, but you also boost your confidence. Every small victory is a reminder that you're capable of more than you think, and that confidence feeds back into your motivation. One of the most powerful lessons I've learned over the years is that action breeds confidence. If you've ever struggled with self-doubt or felt like you weren't good enough, you know how paralyzing it can be. The antidote to self-doubt is action. When you start to take action, even if it's imperfect action, you prove to yourself that you can do it. You prove that you have the ability to figure things out, to keep going even when it's tough. And here's something else. Don't get discouraged if your motivation ebbs and flows. This is totally normal. It's easy to think that once you start, motivation will always be there, but the truth is motivation can come and go. Sometimes you'll feel incredibly fired up, and other times you'll struggle to find the energy to take even the smallest action. That's okay. The key is to keep showing up, even on the days when motivation feels like it's missing. On those days, lean on your systems, your habits, and your routines. Trust the process. Trust that taking action even when you don't feel like it will lead to results. A really important part of self-motivation is developing your habit muscles. Motivation can feel like it comes and goes, but habits are the foundation for long-term success. When you've built strong habits, you don't need to rely on motivation to get things done. You just do it because it's part of who you are. Start small. Develop habits that align with your goals and make them as simple as possible to follow. Set up your environment so it supports your success. If you want to exercise in the morning, lay out your workout clothes the night before. If you want to read more books, keep a book by your bedside and set a goal of reading 1 page before bed. These small actions over time will compound and create big changes. And finally, don't forget the power of self-compassion. When you take action and things don't go as planned, or when you slip up or face setbacks, be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Remember, taking action isn't about being perfect. It's about learning from every experience and getting back on track. Every single time you show up, you're one step closer to the person you want to be. To sum it all up, self-motivation doesn't come from waiting for the perfect moment or from relying on a burst of inspiration. It comes from choosing to act even when you don't feel like it. It comes from breaking things down into manageable steps, building momentum through small wins, and developing habits that support your goals. So the next time you feel stuck or uninspired, remember this: motivation follows action. Start small. Count down from 5 and do the thing you've been putting off. Once you start moving, you'll find the motivation you need to keep going. Because the truth is, you don't need motivation to take action. You need action to create motivation. And when you start taking action, even in the smallest ways, you'll begin to see just how much you are capable of achieving. So go ahead, get started today. You've got this.